Welcome to the Shark Bite Show, where we dive into the stories of our members, coaches, friends, and family of Shark Bite Fitness and Nutrition. All right, let's roll. Okay, guys, today I am with Ryan Peterson. He's one of our members here at Shark Bite Cape Coral. He's by far the most committed member of our 6:30 p.m. class, by far. He's a Navy vet, and he once actually brought the entire gym to his knees by performing a muscle up. So
Which is really your fault.
That sounds like a joke. It's totally real. It actually happened. So we're going to dive into this. Ryan, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for taking the time after a long Monday of work.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start off with, who are you? What got you interested in fitness? How did you end up here at Shark Bite?
Okay. I've been kind of in fitness for a while. I used to do a lot of long distance stuff like running and adventure races and stuff like that, like cross Florida adventure racing and stuff like that. But I've never been into weightlifting until I got here. Before I moved down here in like 2012, 2013, I was running about 25 miles a week, training to do like half marathons and marathons, with a goal which I have given up because I recently learned I hate running.
Took you that long to figure that out?
Yeah. So when I moved down here, I was taking over a failing branch for a company, and it took all my time. So I didn't do anything from like 2013 to when I got here. So I went from being in really good shape to losing all my cardio, grabbing a dad bod and rolling with it. And during that time, I actually walked into a CrossFit box somewhere in like 2015, 2016. And, people were doing handstands, walking on their hands around the gym, and I was like, yeah, probably not ready for that yet. So it probably wasn't a really good intro, but then I saw you guys on Facebook, and I'm like, I got time now. I got to do it. There isn't any more getting in shape to go get in shape. So I came in here, did the no sweat walkthrough. I can't remember. I think did I do it with you?
I think it was Brad.
Yeah, it was Brad.
Yeah.
And I did my intro and all that stuff with Brad, and it just, I think it's a combination of the high intensity of CrossFit with the community that you guys have built here, and it just clicked.
Cool.
And I love it.
Awesome.
That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, I think when we're gonna talk about this a little bit later, but like if we ask all the coaches who like one of their favorite people here is, you're at the top of that list. Pretty much everybody. Yeah. What was it like at the beginning? What was it like? So you did your no sweat intro with Brad, right?
Mm-hmm.
You decided to sign up. Like, what happened next? What was that like?
You get into it, and you got people on all ends. I'm sitting there in my first couple classes, and I'm in a class with Tyler. I didn't know it was Tyler at the time, and I was like, shit. Okay.
Tyler's in really good shape.
Right. Yeah. So I'm like, and I just didn't have the cardio at all, and you build it up over time. But the thing is even being the new guy in the class, everybody was just like super accepting. It's not like, hey, he's a new guy, he'll be gone in a week, or that type of thing. It was like you're part of it, and you want to continue to push and do better. And it was just constant. You feel like you're getting better. And then you start to get to a point where you're doing like the same workouts. You get long enough along where you're comparing workouts to where you were before in weights that you lifted and where you are now. And that's like super fulfilling for me to go in there and know that I've done this workout like 3 times and you advance and get better, you get faster, you get stronger. And stuff like that, and then to see, the actual quantifiable medical results when I go get a blood test or something like that, and my blood tests now are perfect where they weren't.
Yeah, that one's really cool. We're gonna talk about that in a minute, but that feeling of progress, right? That like accomplishment of goals. That's a cool feeling, right?
Yeah.
What's the the workout we do with all the rowing and burpees? It's like alternating. I hate that workout so much. Man, do I love doing it to see if I got better than last time.
Yeah.
Like I'll add 1 burpee each round, or 1 calorie each round,
yeah, and
see if I can maintain that the whole time.
Yeah, or like Cali Bear.
Yeah, Cali Bear. Let's not talk about Cali Bear. Cali Bear's a lot of weightlifting. I'm mediocre at best at weightlifting, and that's a lot of weightlifting. Yeah, so I'm actually a little jealous of you, right? Because my first couple of years doing like CrossFit, functional fitness stuff, I didn't have any like tracking, you know. So I know what I remember. I think what I looked like and felt like, but I really wish I had something to compare it to now, you know. Because I just compared it to like 3 or 4 years ago and how different it is. I tried to imagine 9 years ago what that would have been like.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, to compare day one to now.
Yeah, when I was trying to do kicking pull-ups instead of kipping pull-ups. Nobody knew any better. That was a really good time. Do you remember doing the baseline workout? The one with the rowing, push-ups, sit-ups, and squats?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to do that again real soon because I can't wait to see
I
how
can't wait.
Okay, cool. So you were in the military,
mm-hmm.
right? The Navy.
Yep.
Yeah, so talk to me about that, what you did, what that was like.
Okay. I'd like to say, I jumped into it to say, well, I wanted to serve my country, and it's not that, it's not all that. But my parents were going through a crazy nasty divorce and all that stuff, and grew up in a little town up in Minnesota, and I just, one day when I was a senior, I was like, man, I'm at a tipping point. I can stay here and go to 13th grade. The local community college, or I need to just get the hell out of here. Mm-hmm. Get away from my friends that are bad influences. Because I was more of a partier than a book kid in high school, and my parents kind of dragged me down. I just went into the Navy recruiter and said, "When are we gonna go?" At the time I was a fairly smart kid. I was just underapplied, so I went in and took all the testing and all that stuff. And I was actually going for the nuclear program and didn't quite hit the mark, but got accepted into working on gas turbines, which you can go airframe or main propulsion. I went main propulsion, working on big G gas turbines. So joined the Navy, did well. Did really well in boot camp, went through A school and all that stuff, and we got to pick orders based on where we were at in our class. And a couple of us were like, oh man, let's just dive in, let's go to Japan, right? So came time to pick orders, and I checked it out. I was like, hell no, I'm not going to Japan. I'm like this 6'2" tall white kid, and I'm going to go there and beat Godzilla over in Japan, and these other 4'10" people over there. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to. So I picked a ship out of Mayport, Mississippi. There was a brand new ship. I'm a plank owner on it, which means when they decom that ship, I get a piece of it.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. So it's in the Navy. It's a big deal. I got this big plaque. I got some honor stuff for it and all that. And
is that what the tattoo's for?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yep. So plank owner on that. They shipped me all over the country doing stuff, waiting for the ship to be built. Mm-hmm. So I got to go to shipboard security school and get shot with paintballs, and they gassed me as many times as they could with CS gas. I went to a ton of firefighting schools and all that stuff. So I was like, one of the most educated E3s coming out of as an E3.
Like all that education for nothing.
Right. Yeah. So I did my tour with the Vicksburg. Was over in Bosnia. Did a lot of anti-drug stuff down in the Caribbean. Which is really fun because you get to work with the Coast Guard and you get to blow up people that nobody cares about, drug runners. So, and then met my wife and figured, and I could see from the people around me that being married and being gone about 280 days a year, probably not so good for the married life thing. So
any military member can confirm that.
Yeah, pretty much. So made a conscious decision and got out.
Cool.
And went in with shorts, t-shirt, and flip-flops, and got my first job as in the fire protection industry that I'm in now. So
that's cool. How long ago was that?
1995.
So you've been in fire protection that whole time? Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That explains a lot about where you're at right now, right?
Yeah.
So now you work for Wayne, right? Yep. Wayne Automatic Sprinklers.
Fire sprinklers.
Fire sprinklers. So
yep.
What is your position there?
I'm the branch manager for Fort Myers.
Cool.
Which I've got 80 employees, and I manage the day-to-day operations for fire sprinklers, fire alarms, service, underground, monitoring of firefighting or fire systems, fire alarm monitoring, all that stuff. And I also hold the fire alarm license for our company, our whole company in Florida. And I've got my sprinkler license, Class 1 license here in Florida, Mississippi, and Alabama.
Cool. So you never have to do any work up there?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep. So, and I've been with them since 1998. So it's been a while.
That's awesome. That's like a clear example of like sticking with something you're good at and just continually getting better at it.
Yeah.
You know,
I've held 6 or 7 different positions with them.
Mm-hmm.
I started in Jacksonville, and then I spent some time in the corporate office, and then moved down here in 2013. So, and I changed this company. The branch here, which I said earlier was a failing branch, from like a $1 or $2 million a year branch to $16 million a year.
Man, that's awesome.
So, yeah, we're doing pretty good.
When people ask me like, what did you learn in the military? I was in the infantry. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it has nothing to do with your work specifically. It's stuff like that. You know, it's the ability to be like resilient and try tactics that maybe didn't seem normal to everybody else. Your willingness to apply your rigorous training into like something totally different now. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really, what I do is I get rid of people's roadblocks. I get rid of excuses and just make it where the other 79 people that I've got on my team are able to do what they do well.
Yeah.
You know, I just get rid of all the excuses. I'm a glorified snowplow.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You're like a circle closer, right?
Yeah.
You and I have talked about this a bunch in like private, you know, about like leadership and management and like taking care of the people who work for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I know that I've always appreciated the way it seems that you take care of your employees. You know, I don't know that that's super common nowadays.
Yeah, probably. I don't think it is.
No, I don't think so either. You know, the idea that like leadership is forceful direction. You know, like that's kind of I think the purveying thought at the moment. And I know that like I really appreciate having like another kindred spirit who thinks, you know, if I take care of my people, they're gonna take care of their people. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to get you in trouble, so we won't talk about that too much more.
No, it just, you know, I wasn't always that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's something I've realized over maturing, and you know, I ran off the first people I managed because I tried to manage them like I was in the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they were on a ship they couldn't get off of. Turns out they're not a captive audience. They can quit and find other jobs. Yeah. I had
the exact same experience.
Right.
Getting out of the Army and just assuming it was completely okay to scream at everybody.
Right.
That was not okay. You know?
But sometimes, you know, I got in with the right company and realized how I was being treated and how that made me feel. That if I turn around and use that mentality and you know the way the Wayne Automatic is, and take care of those people, you know, and I mean customer, employee, you know, it's a close first second. And I kind of put the employee first because a byproduct of really happy employees are happy customers.
Right.
Which is what everybody's looking for.
That's exactly what we talk about, right? Is, you know, if you take care of your employees, they will take care of the customers.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep. And they take care of you.
Yeah, right. And that part's
You know?
cool too.
We don't work in a vacuum.
Yeah. So that just shows that you had, you know, pretty good mentorship and leadership, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to be able to kind of mimic those habits and learn from them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they really say that you learn just as much from a poor leader as you do from a good one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, about how you want to be a leader.
Yeah.
I can confirm that from the Army. You know?
Yeah. Some of those lessons are stronger than the ones you even get from good leaders.
Totally.
I don't want to be like that guy.
Man, those stick out like a beacon.
No, they do. Yeah.
So you got like a pretty in-depth injury history.
I do.
Right? From before you came here.
Yeah.
Let's hear about it. Let's hear about all of them. Let's hear about a bunch of them. Let's talk about what it's like working out with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm, you know, I don't know that I'm, well, maybe I'm a little clumsy, but I'm not real careful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I will go in head first, and that's how I ended up with one of my fingers turned sideways and pushed past one of the knuckles when I slid into second base underneath some guy's foot. And my ring finger got dislocated and pushed down past the knuckle. That was, you know, that's a perfect example of going in head first. And since I'm sort of clumsy and not real careful, I decided to take up amateur motorcycle racing.
Oh, that makes sense, yeah.
You know, why not? You know, it's kind of like if you're going to use fireworks, you might as well drink. You know.
No, disclaimer: we're not saying that.
But But if you're clumsy and not careful, why not go 200 miles an hour on a motorcycle?
Right.
So and I didn't just, like I said, I jump in both feet. So I went, instead of easing into like 600s and smaller bikes, I went right into unlimited horsepower bikes, 1000 cc, 180 horsepower. Dragging your knee at Daytona or Road Atlanta and stuff like that. So I got, like, a perfect example. I raced 3 races every weekend that I raced.
What?
And the one weekend I crashed the first race. I was able to get the bike back together enough to race it again, so I won the second race. And the bike was still holding itself together with zip ties and everything else. And then I went ahead and crashed it on the third race. So that's a perfect example of. And then from that, I got a broken collarbone on this side, which they didn't, at the time they didn't plate it, so it healed funny, like overlapping. And then in this side, I separated my AC joint bad enough that they drilled a hole through 3 bones and ran a cable through it and did what they call a tightrope.
Okay.
Which they put a plate on both sides of the cable and then they pull all the bones back together. So that cable is still in there and all that. And then I smashed my foot. So I had to have surgery in 2 spots on my foot to push the bones back together in there and rearrange some tendons, and then I got a torn meniscus in my right knee. I think that's it.
Is there anything that's not injured, bro?
So
what's it like been trying to work out like that? Because I know a lot of people will tell us, like, I hurt my shoulder, or I hurt my knee, or I hurt something. They'll say I can't work out.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, at first I was super tentative about it, just because, like with the gymnastic stuff, which by the way is like one of my favorite thing to do here.
Me too.
And hanging off that bar and doing the stuff we do, swinging around a lot and putting a lot of strain on that. I was really worried that, especially the one with the hardware, would bother me. So I took it pretty easy and listen to the coaches, build up your strength. A little bit first before you really start going crazy with it. And I did that, followed the recommendations, and now, it doesn't bother me at all.
Oh, that's awesome.
So when I do start to feel it a little bit, I don't know that I'm feeling that as much as maybe just the strain of some of the new movements. Like right now I'm working on ring muscle ups. And like I said on there, I got like 98% of one with Chris's help. But I could feel it, So now I backed off of just kind of swinging into it and working on some of the ring dips and some of the auxiliary movements to help build that up. And as far as the foot and the knee and stuff like that, I feel it, but I don't work around it. I really haven't had to have any big, injury issues. Like I think one time when you're teaching class, my hip flexor, remember that one time got a little bit out of unhappy. But other than that, the injuries really haven't slowed me down. So
that's cool to hear, right? Because you'll hear pretty frequently somebody has an injury at some point, and they'll kind of carry that like a significant burden that stops them from doing so many other things. I broke my foot when I was in Iraq, and I remember being told, like, you shouldn't walk upstairs anymore. I was like, what? At the time, I was like 23. I'm just never going to walk upstairs the rest of my life.
Right.
And that's completely unrealistic. And then now, we're jumping on 40-inch boxes. So
exactly, yeah. Well, everybody's got different injuries, and mine are what they are. But and I'm not saying, I don't want it to come across saying that I think people use it as an excuse, but I think sometimes it might be. And I would say to anybody that has an injury, just go into it being aware that it's there, and maybe use it as a goal to, I'm gonna work on this and I'm gonna overcome that injury. Our bodies are amazing things,
right?
They heal their way around stuff so that the focus is working the way that they did before the injury.
Right, and I heard somebody say one time that 70-year-olds don't forget how to jump, right?
Right.
They can't jump anymore because they haven't jumped in 40 years.
Yeah.
The idea is, like, if you have an injury that's holding you back, who's to say that we couldn't work around that?
Yep.
We couldn't help you build up the necessary strength and mobility to do the thing you think you can't do anymore.
Right.
Or to do at least some version of it that makes you happy, you know?
Yeah, don't shut yourself off.
Right.
Yeah.
It's when I had Josh on the show, we talked about the idea of just quality of life improvement that comes from being able to do things,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And in my previous career in the medical field, we would talk to people, and they would say, "I hurt my shoulder when I was 12, and because of that, I haven't put my arm above my head in 30 years." You know.
Right.
And you think about the amount of things that person has missed out on because either they didn't understand what they were being told, or they were told something that's maybe was thought to be correct at the time and is not correct anymore, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And just how much higher their quality of life would have been, how many things they could have participated in if they could have found some people that could have helped them do things like that, you know.
Yeah.
I'm cool. It's cool to hear that you don't, because your shoulders are built like cyborg shoulders now. So it's cool just to see you out there doing like muscle ups and toes to bars and stuff, you know.
It's doing stuff. A year ago or a year and a half ago, never even thought that I would be able to get back into the weightlifting, or even been interested in, because I've tried to go to the gym and stuff before, and I've just never been interested in weightlifting. But now, when we have a workout, we'll have, like today we got one that's a lot of cardio and stuff like that. And that's kind of my background. I enjoy the weightlifting part of it now because it's like brand new.
Yeah, right.
The other stuff is still fun, but it's stuff I have more experience and stuff with.
Well, it's like what you just said. That's one of the things I like about it, right? Is because there's so many things you can try to work on.
Mm-hmm.
And like you don't ever master it, and if you do, you're lying to yourself. Because we can always find a way to turn the intensity up a little bit. But I like going through waves of like, okay, I'm gonna work on gymnastics for a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna not worry about the other stuff so much. Okay, now I'm done working on gymnastics. I'm gonna try to lift some more weight. I'm done with weightlifting for a little bit. Now I'm going to try to beat people like Bailey in burpees. I'm going to lose that fight.
You're built wrong for that.
I'm a marathoner's body right here. But you can kind of like continually stay engaged, because you're changing what you're working on.
Yep.
And it's you guys do goal reviews with the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll do a goal review with the coaches. Like I'll be the reviewee, where they're asking me, "What do you want?" And then I'll have Crystal and Chris and Jim tell me, okay, we'll stop worrying about the weights on the barbell.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good point. I'll focus on more burpees without stopping now. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Well, and two, your body, after working out 4 or 5 days a week, at the end of the week, your body's telling you that I don't want to work on this today. Mm-hmm. So you pick a different part of the workout to focus on. We did squats, like overhead squats on Saturday, and oh, by the way, we're going to do them again on Tuesday, or and something like that. Your legs might be squatted out by the end of the week, and you might have like back squats or something that's using your legs at the end of the week. But you'll have another part of the workout. You can scale one part of it, but then go hard on something else. There's never a workout that you're like, I'm out.
Yeah, right. Because you can always modify around.
There's always a part of it, and that's a cool thing that I don't. When I talk to people about CrossFit, they're like, "You're crazy." I'm like, "You don't understand. You don't have to. There's nothing that says you got to go into this and do a 205 squat clean your first day.
And if you do, I'm crazy impressed, and I'm a little afraid of you because
right.
That's not supposed to be possible.
But you can scale that down to using the training bar with the plywood training weights.
Mm-hmm. And you can get a great workout in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys who look at it like I did, a few years ago, like I can't do that. Well, no shit, you can't do that. You're walking into the first day.
Right. That's a really common one we hear is like, I need to get in shape before I come in.
I have so many of my friends that are like that.
You're like, man, that's the point.
Right.
You don't go eat dinner before you go out to dinner, right? Like,
right.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. I just sent somebody today that I'm trying to get them going. And I sent them 2 links today because they're just dead set they're not going to do something like this until they're in shape. Mm-hmm. So I gave them something like Couch to 5K, and I gave them 25 different body weight workouts. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, pretty sure you can't hurt yourself on that. I mean, I know you probably can, but it's safe to say that maybe I can push start them into doing something more than what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Then maybe get into CrossFit.
Well, because understandably, it's kind of scary, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, it's super fun.
Mm-hmm.
And once you start doing a fun thing, you're like, I'd like to keep doing that fun thing.
Yeah.
You just have to get to the point where you realize, like, oh, okay, this is fun.
Yeah, and it's such a controlled environment. Mm-hmm. Because you go in there and you start to arch around your back doing deadlifts, the coach is going to be on you before you hurt yourself. You know, and that's perfect.
Yeah, we did a training. We had a staff meeting the other day, and Coach Chris was teaching over at squats. I now see why he chose that movement. And we're using the PVC pipe, and I'm at the bottom of the squat, and he's like trying to get me to fix my shoulders. I'm like, dude, I'm trying. And rather than like leave me in a crap position, he's like, no. And he put me out in front of kind of all the other coaches. He's like, guys, we're gonna fix this right now. Like, no, Nick, come on back. We're gonna dive through this, so we can all see what it looks like when you see a big dude who's super immobile, and what it looks like when he messes these up. You know?
And if you don't have mobility, the PVC pipe is the most frustrating thing,
right?
Because it's like you need a little bit of weight to help with the mobility.
Well, it never helps because you see something half your size doing it just fine, you know?
Yeah.
You're like, I should be able to do that.
Yeah.
Why can't I do that?
Some of the people here are like made out of rubber too.
Yeah, it's totally true.
Yeah.
End up with like half the girls in the class. Yeah, doing triple your weight.
Oh yeah, and you watch the arm mobility for cleans and down. Like,
That's my 10-year goal.
Yeah.
All right, so you've been working with Katie, our nutrition director, for a little over a year now, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. What's it been like working with a nutrition coach? So not a fitness coach, but a nutrition coach, right? And what's it like having her kind of like in your corner and taking part in that?
Yeah, you know, it's when I first got into it, I was super skeptical, you know, because I eat pretty decent anyway, or so I thought, until you start putting it in and track it.
Yeah, right.
And then you find out that, you know, that maybe you're eating the right foods, you know, because I'm not a picky eater, you know, I eat all the vegetables, I eat all the, you know, proteins and the grains, and there's very little I don't like. But when you start to try to eat for performance, and then also temper it where I'm not going to be eating like tofu 3 times a day, and you know, still enjoy the food. You can do that. But at first it was super challenging because I'm like, man, I'm just like way off. You know, macros all over the place. They're different every day, and so there's a lot of focus on just figuring out where we needed to be with those. You know, and you know, we meet every month, but we talk all the time. You know, and you didn't have to wait to meet to make some small changes here and there. So at first it was pretty intense. You know, there's a lot of hard focus on building that base, and then from there, and that had to take 6 months at least to get it where I felt like we had the base. And then we started making some small adjustments based on performance, you know, and now we're making like little tiny, you know, like the last one we just did, because my body fat started to go up a little bit, even with the intensity. So we dropped my fat down, and now I know exactly where I'm at as far as, you know, my macros and all that stuff. I could probably recite them off the top of my head, but. You know, we track those all the time, and like, you know, Katie checked in with me yesterday morning, or actually this morning, and I've been a little bit off my consistency lately, just because with the whole work at home and food prep, you know, I'm prepping.
Changing it up constantly.
Yeah, you know, and she got me into doing food prep, you know, where my wife and I get together on Sundays and we do food prep for the entire week, you know, and working from home and working from the office and back and forth and not knowing where I'm going to be has kind of changed that up a little bit. But it's so cool to have somebody that has the, you know, the knowledge of, you know, if you're eating for performance, you have to eat one, you know, and I was probably, you know, and I was trying to work out at first. When I first met Katie, I was probably eating 1,300 calories a day, you know, but I'm going from a diet of pretty sedentary, you know, of get up, go to work, go home, rinse and repeat, you know, go fishing on the weekend, have a few beers, you know, that type of thing. And it's now it's 2,700 calories a day. You know, I'm over 200 grams of carbs, I'm over 200 grams of protein, and whatever's left is in fat.
And people would find that crazy if they didn't know any of that, right?
Yeah. Right.
So when you guys started dialing in your nutritional habits, after you got to what you felt like was a comfortable base, right? And you started dialing it in, you started changing things. I know the plans we follow. I'm sure the protein went up, the carbs went up. What did you start to notice in your performance when that happened?
Well, one, when I came to the gym, I was probably 182 pounds. I gained 10 pounds, and my body fat is really close to what it was when I started. So that's the only thing it could be is muscle.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of the protein. And then I would notice on some of these longer chip workouts and stuff like that. That's the longer high intensity stuff, especially the stuff we've done the last couple of weeks ramping up. You would feel if my carbs were low, I could feel it. So we started dialing that in. And I think back then we went from like 2,400 up to like 2,600, and now I'm at 2,700. And I think I'm really close to where I need to be. So then we started working on some micro stuff. At what point of the day am I fueling? Like I would eat breakfast. My breakfast is 1,000 calories, and I eat lunch. My lunch is like 700 or 800 calories. But then what are you eating in the window that's going to metabolize for your workout? When are you planning and what are you doing there?
So literally like prepping to perform.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I was like, I'd have a PB&J. That wasn't working. The fat, in my stomach, no bueno.
Free off.
Yeah. Well, I just, my gut wasn't right. And if you're picking something up and you're worried you're gonna hit for the bathroom,
never trust a fart on deadlifting.
Right. Yeah. So we figured out that it's better with mostly carbs. Stuff that was easily digestible, and like not a banana but like an apple. And then that got me into more of some of the stuff from Driven with using the glyco drive and amino, and doing it through that in my water bottle, and then in an apple before my workout. And that made a huge difference. It felt like I had 100% of my energy that I needed for that workout. I didn't feel a drop off for anything anywhere. And I take some vitamin supplements and stuff like that, and we worked on timing those out, and I started to notice that if I take those about an hour before I do the fueling for my workout every day, that made a huge difference. Because then you had your, the stuff from your vitamin supplements and all that stuff in you too.
And that shows, right? Like, you're over a year into this now, right? And the results are drastic. Right?
Oh, yeah.
We've all been kind of tricked into believing that stuff happens in like 3 weeks.
Right.
Like we've been like Instagrammed to believe that like massive change will happen overnight as long as you work really hard and never eat again.
Yep.
And like that's just not true. Like you talked about the tracking your food and how important that was, right? That was the first thing I did when we were creating our nutrition program, and I was the test dummy for most of it behind the scenes. The first and by far most important thing was just writing down what I was eating.
Yeah.
And being aware that on some days I ate 900 calories and on some days I ate 5,000 calories. And I was not aware of that as it was going on, because I was like, man, I got a medical degree. I know what to eat. And then now you're layered, and you're talking about literally timing out supplements to get your best result from them.
Right.
Like, that's awesome.
And then the recovery, because your recovery, you're prepping for the next workout starts with what you eat after your workout. Because if I were to, because my schedule is I'm usually here for the 6:30 class, which means I get home, about 8. So first thing I normally do is whatever's for dinner. But I always have 1 scoop of protein when I get home. Yeah. Whether I start it here or when I go, and then the aminos before help me with the muscle soreness. Because I'll be honest with you, I almost quit. Because one of the things Katie and I had to work through was I had crazy muscle soreness. I mean, to the point where my forearms and stuff were hurting so bad that I couldn't pick up my 5-pound protein supplement with one hand.
Oh man.
I mean, they were like on fire. So, we worked specifically on that, and it turned out using the curcumin extract for anti-inflammatory stuff, and BCAAs that are in the aminos, and adjusting that, and we knocked it out in about 3 weeks.
Oh, it's awesome, man.
And I wouldn't have been able to do that without Katie helping me out.
Well, because like supplements and nutrition are intentionally confusing. They like the entire industry is made to confuse you, so that you just buy a lot.
Right.
That's like, I don't know what to do. I go into a certain supplement store. Somebody tells me I need 47 things, and I go, I don't know any better. Sure, why not? You know?
Right.
That's one of the benefits of having an expert. You can be like, no, stop. Just give this.
Somebody that's on your side.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
You know, because you can walk in and get a ton of advice from the guy at GNC. You know,
You said
he's the used car dealer. He's trying to sell you everything he's got in there, and he doesn't. You know, he probably goes to gym and works out, but he's not trained in it probably.
Right.
And I'm not saying maybe he is. I don't know. But my experience at those places is never going to get. I've spent a lot of money, and I don't continue to go back there. So
I think that's the model. That's on purpose.
Right. But when you have somebody that's a professional that's on your side, you know, that is truly vested in your performance, you know, because if it didn't work, I wouldn't do it.
Right.
You know, you know, like you said, I've been doing it for over a year. You know, you could say, well, you know, maybe I'm at a point and I have enough self-knowledge that maybe I could do it on my own. You know, and track my foods and all that stuff. But, you know, I think it'd be naive to think that, you know, now all of a sudden I'm it's as good as it's going to get. You know, it's probably not. You know, and I'm not getting any younger. Things continue to change, and you know, for the little bit that it costs, the accountability is
a big deal.
A big deal.
Right. I know, like for me, we'll change up how I eat depending on are we in shark season or not. You know. Out of shark season, I'm eating a lot more pizza. You know, inside of our 4 or 5 month shark season, I'm eating a whole lot better.
Right.
You know, and maybe I can do that on my own, but I'd way rather have somebody else help me with it.
Oh, I do. I do the same thing. I train and eat differently when there's comp on the calendar.
Comp's coming up, right? Yeah.
Right.
At competitions, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I noticed that the first big one that I did as far as prepping for was Bloodline. And man, it felt great.
So much better. Right?
Oh yeah.
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 Okay, cool. So, you know, we're doing the Shark Bite Intramural Open, right? That's our 4-team thing, and you were recently chosen as one of the captains.
Yes.
Yeah. I put out talk to the coaches that we needed to pick some good captains. I needed nominations, and you were literally unanimous. Yeah. You. We've never had this happen before. All the people we wanted, we got right away.
Nice.
But you were unanimous selection. What's your team name?
Cirque de Sore Legs.
That's fantastic. It does. What would you tell someone if you wanted them to be on your team? Or what are you looking for in players? Because we have our draft in a couple days.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I don't want to. I'm going to take it at a super high level because looking at the rest of our team captains, they're probably going to be looking towards me for direction. And I really don't want to give them too much information. Super nice people, but they're going to have to figure some of this stuff out on their own.
What a great honor.
No, I just, you know, we're going to have a fun time.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to try to keep the energy. I'm not going to try. I'm going to keep the energy high. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. We're going to talk a lot of trash. You might have noticed. Coming for you, Banana Slow. You're pretty slow, so it won't be hard.
We'll have the bearded hair feet step on them. That's all.
Yeah, and then Breakfast Club's going to be busy eating donuts, so they won't even see what we're doing. So, but no, we're just, you know, we're going to keep the energy level high. We're going to, you know, have a lot of fun. And, you know, it's going to be an awesome time no matter what, because of the people we have here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. This is the thing I look forward to most all year long.
You know, when I was around here I think the Open happened like 2 or 3 months after I first got here. And I was like, and too much too soon. Yeah. You know, so I watched and it looked like everybody's having a lot of fun. So I was really excited to participate this year. And then super surprised when he asked me to be a captain. It was awesome. So.
Yeah, it's so much fun because it's just like a bunch of weeks of like talking smack and getting their butts kicked in workouts because like everyone gets their ass kicked in workouts, and then just like watching people do stuff that like they honestly thought they could never do.
Right.
But on Friday Night Lights, all of a sudden they'll get their first muscle up or something, and the gym doesn't close down. So.
I do want to point out, like I told you and I talked about it, but I did book you to do a keeping pull-up class. Because like I said earlier, I'm clumsy and really not well coordinated. You taught me how to do that. And the progression of a keeping pull-up is a muscle up. Henceforth, your fault.
Look, Here's all I know. You got a muscle up. 2 days later, the gym was shut down.
Was it even that long?
Maybe one day later, the gym was shut down. I know who to blame. It was you. It was not the coronavirus. It was you.
And then when we came back, I got a muscle up, and you got the coronavirus.
Yeah, thanks a lot, friend.
You're welcome.
Okay, so if you were talking to somebody and they were like scared to come try working out, like what would you tell them? What would be your recommendation towards them?
I would say, do the walkthrough, right? Do the walkthrough, and then when you're doing the walkthrough, ask to talk to some of the people that are there. Ask them about what their experience is like. Where did they come from? 90% of us, weren't like college athletes, or anything that just kind of like it was like, I'm not a college athlete anymore, so I need to do something just like, crazy physical. It's as physical as you want it to be. And you're not going to come in and just all of a sudden not fit in and not have a good experience. At least not here. I would imagine that as awesome as this place, maybe not every place is like this. But if it's not, go to a different one till you get the right vibe. Because like I did, I went through the no sweat walkthrough and they didn't get the right vibe. But so I backed off and I came here, and I did. But when you add the workout and the sense of community, and you get that feeling of camaraderie. You guys are, depending on the workout, some of them, you get to where you're pushing yourself. They're tough. Yeah. And you start off, and you're all fresh, clean, ready to go. And then at the end of the workout, no matter who you are, you had a great time. And most of us are laying on the floor catching our wind before you do a 100-meter walk. and we love it. There's nothing to be scared of, though. Because like I said earlier, you don't have to come in here and lift heavy weights until you're ready to. Right. You can come in here and lift as light as you want, and there's some weights I can lift heavy now, and it doesn't mean I come in here and actually do that during a workout. There's some days you come in and you're like, I'm not lifting heavy today, even if I could. And we have the ability to do that by scaling the workouts. Mm-hmm. There's no reason not to. Do something.
Do something.
Do something.
That's it's not gonna get better than that. Let's end it right there. Do something. Ryan, thanks, bro.
Yeah,
I appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me.
I can't wait to do this again.
Awesome.
All right, thanks for hanging out with us today on the Shark Bite Show. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you can find us on Facebook or Instagram at Shark Bite Fitness and Nutrition, or on our website at sharkbitefitness.com. If you'd like to find out more about our guests, their information will be in the show notes. If you'd like to talk to us about getting more fit, feel free to schedule a free no sweat intro at one of our locations in Cape Coral, Fort Myers, or Naples, Florida.